I'm not a politician. I'm a queen.
Not a queen. A Khaleesi. Not a queen. A bad pussy.
In the past, I've been a man known to say the phrase, "I hate Daenerys." This isn't a state of mind that I currently agree with, nor is it a state of mind that I ever plan on going back to, but it is a state of mind that a large portion of today's fans of Song of Ice and Fire cling to. A lot of people do not like Daenerys. And that could be surprising to some people who maybe only watch the show and think to themselves, what, Daenerys is the main character. Daenerys is beautiful and powerful. She's a strong woman. What's wrong with you people? She's a fantastic character. Now, obviously, I don't fall into either of these camps. I don't love Daenerys, I don't hate Daenerys, and I think both camps are a little bit narrow-minded. First of all, the side that blindly loves her, I think, completely misunderstand her character, and either don't pay attention too well, or they just are maybe a little bit more casual fans. And that's not a bad thing by any means. You can be a casual fan, but if you're not as invested in paying attention to some, more minor details, it can be decently easy to miss some crucial plot elements. Now, the group that hate her, I would view to be the more serious of the groups, like they have more evidence backing them up. And let me explain why to people who don't understand. Daenerys is a hard character to crack down, right? In the books, at least, she's a 14-year-old girl. In the show, she's a few years older. Like, Emilia Clarke is, in her mid to late 20s, but, Daenerys is supposed to be 19 or something. This is, for all intents and purposes, little girl, a child in this world, and she acts like she's the most, boss in charge, badass bitch, knows everything. When what has she really done other than fuck Khal Drogo, lock some people inside a tank, and then burn some people alive? People follow her for her heritage and who they believe she can be, rather than for who she is. And another factor going into the reason people dislike Daenerys is not really a problem of the character itself, but more of the hypocrisy of the community. Daenerys gets away with things that other characters do not. Look back at that scene in Season 5 where Daenerys burns a man alive with no evidence of him being involved in any wrongdoing. Look back to when she literally crucified, one of the most painful deaths you can imagine, hundreds of people. Or back when she, burned alive, slowly cooked, a woman who was trying to avenge her village and friends that were just killed, and herself who was raped multiple times. A woman trying to avenge herself, Dany, burned alive. Okay, she gets away with that. People look at her, yeah, she's standing up for herself, she's doing good, Daenerys, oh yeah. But you look at someone like, let's go to the immediate example, Stannis, who, in the show at least, burns his daughter, sacrifices Shireen. A terrible act, no doubt, but one done with the intention of saving a near 10,000-man army from a slow death by freezing and starvation. A sacrifice that would eventually, in his mind, see himself take his rightful place on the throne, thereby uniting the realm against fucking zombies that are coming to kill everyone. And he does a terrible act in the name of preventing that. And he is lambasted, second most hated character on some list I saw, on an equal level with Ramsay goddamn Bolton, her Joffrey. He's hated on that level for doing something of, relatively comparable atrociousness to Daenerys, yet he gets flack and she does not. So what this boils down to is a character that does some pretty nasty things for some pretty selfish reasons. A character who is young and bossy and, entitled. She's a character that has no real personal attributes of her own except for her silver hair and who her family has been for generations. You get a character who everyone assumes will be a great and powerful ruler simply because she has 3 lizards. I want you to imagine a scenario where your least desired presidential candidate, alright? If you're a Democrat, Trump, if you're a Republican, Hillary, your least desired candidate, if they got their hands on 3 lizards that can breathe fire and fly and they can ride around upon, would that at all affect your opinion of how they could effectively govern a nation? I don't think so. So I said before, I don't hate her. Why is that, if I can see all these reasons why I should? Well, that's because I see the potential of Daenerys. This is a potential that is completely lost upon people who blindly love her, and is simply ignored or not, sought after by the people who hate her. Daenerys has the potential to be one of the most interesting characters in the series, barring a few decisions that may or may not happen in the show and books. When you look around the community, you can see countless memes of people turning the page of a Song of Ice and Fire book. It turns out to be a Daenerys chapter, and then, some sort of punchline where they're disappointed. Fuck it, it's another Dany chapter. I don't want to read another chapter about how she walks through a goddamn desert with names I can't pronounce. I'm tired of this. And oh, look at that, she's making another clearly stupid decision that is going to backfire on her terribly and misjudging someone's character and blaming people that she shouldn't blame. And oh, look, is she being unnecessarily cruel to that man who was acting in his own self-interest? Man, I can't wait till we get to Daznak's pit. So that got me wondering, George R.R. Martin is not a stupid writer, right? He writes intelligently, he writes purposefully. So why would he write a character where the core audience of his fans, the most attentive and loyal of his fans, groan when they see that character? And why would he make that character so important? Well, in my mind, for a while now, I got about halfway through book 3, I think right around the time where Daenerys, killed everyone at Astapor. I got it in my mind that Daenerys Targaryen is very clearly going to be one of the main villains by the end of the series. Daenerys has all the makings of a fabulous tyrant, right? She's young, she's impulsive, she's powerful as all hell, she's attractive, she can tie men around her finger, she inspires intense loyalty in spite of any actual real talent. And hey, why not even throw in a little bit of fire magic here and there, That never hurts. If I showed you a picture like this with no context and asked you whether or not you would feel inspired by this character or terrified by them, I think we could get a pretty conclusive consensus. Because this is how my thought process went. George R.R. Martin is a good writer, so why would he insert a character that is very clearly rejected by the audience and make them so important? And not just like, a relatively insignificant character like Joffrey. A character who is like very vital to the series and stuff, but is just, boring, unlikable. Why would he do this? So in my mind, I went back to the obvious question. If you asked a lot of people, what would they say was their least favorite book? A Feast for Crows, obviously. It's slow, it's with characters we don't care about, there's a lot of filler, there's a lot of characters that get introduced and killed and nothing really matters what's going on. But the thing about A Feast for Crows is that at the very end, it all pays off. We get the fruition of the long built-up reveal of Dorne and their plans, and Doran and how he's been scheming for this entire series. We get a payoff for 10 or 11 chapters of Cersei doing boring, bitchy politics, and we see her captured by the Faith Militant and put in prison, and then we see Jaime, who's been doing fuck all in the Riverlands, tear up her letter. That is, the entire book is a book of slow buildup and like a one huge punch of payoff. 700 pages of boring buildup, 100 pages of, oh my god, it all mattered and it's beautiful. So I think that's where Daenerys' story is going. We've seen a teaser of it. We've seen a teaser of it with Daznak's pit. It's only a matter of time. The next time that happens, it'll be burning a lot of people. Daenerys is on the fast track to taking up the reins of her father, Aerys. And really, when you think about it, it makes sense. This is painfully obvious to anyone who pays attention. A Song of Ice and Fire is not a book about how war is right. A Song of Ice and Fire is a very, very, very definitively anti-war series. The message of the book is how war is pointless, and how it kills people, and how it's never justified, no matter how justified you think it is. If anyone seriously believes that the person who will eventually quote-unquote win this series, it will win because of some divine right of birth, I really don't think you've been paying attention. No matter if your motivation for war is family, or love, or duty, or a sense of rightness, or a sense of entitlement, or blind ambition, or gold, or paranoia, war is never the answer. It didn't work hundreds of years ago, doesn't work now. So in the end, and this sort of dips into a future series that I'm planning, how Song of Ice and Fire will end, I believe that no matter who wins, or if there is in fact no winner, in the end, no one will win, right? Even if there is still an Iron Throne, even if someone is sitting on it by the end, they will not be a winner. I perceive this entire series culminating in a huge war that will be stopped at the last moment or will completely wipe out all life. Except for, maybe like the wolves in the forest and be poetic or some shit. And let's think about it. Anyone with half a brain watches this story, and if you've got a little bit of intelligence, you can see, okay, the buildup for this story is a massive civil war, but none of it matters because basically this is a realm destabilization that the White Walkers will be able to exploit. Anyone with a half a brain can see that, but their solution most of the time is, well, of course, Khaleesi is going to come across the sea, take a rightful place on the throne, marry Jon Snow, and then the realm will be united. But I really want you to think about that. How a young girl, a 15 or 16-year-old girl, on giant fire-breathing lizards coming to burn men by the thousands, that's going to unite the realm? Maybe in time, maybe once the people get to know Daenerys and they can see that she's a lovely girl. Maybe, but then they'll rally around her, but that could be decades, people. Right now, she's just another invader, and only the second Targaryen. Daenerys coming to Westeros could be one of the worst things to happen to Westeros since the last long night. And I think that's beautiful. I'm thinking we might be in Daenerys' head when maybe she realizes how she's the supervillain in this story. Or, I just imagine what some fans will see as beautiful as the culmination of events when Daenerys invades. I really hope that their hearts will turn and they'll see, no, this is just another monstrous invader coming to kill for whatever reasons they think are right, but ultimately it just results in more death. So in the end, it doesn't matter if Dany has a claim or not. It doesn't matter if Dany would be a good ruler or not. It doesn't matter if Daenerys is the hottest piece of ass in the world. All that matters is that, in the author's eyes, war is wrong and will never bear good fruit. So knowing that George R.R. Martin was a conscientious objector and a very stark anti-war supporter, and that his story is more than likely an anti-war narrative, it's conceivable that you could then scan his world and look for the one character who throughout all 5 books has been the most consistent in their desire for all-out war and invasion. That person may then be who you could call the ultimate antagonist. Thanks for listening.
Gentle mother, font of mercy, save our sons from war.